Okay. What did he say?
Thank you. Well, if you'll keep your seats for just a second, we'll get started in just a minute here. Wanted to make sure people had time to eat and to socialize, and hope you've enjoyed getting together today. We're glad you're here. It's a good crowd. We appreciate it. And always remember, it's a great day to be a Kiwanian. Kids need you, and you need Kiwanis, and we need you. So let's start with our defining statement. Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world, one child and one community at a time. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clay, I know you've got a song for us.
I certainly do, and it is in honor of April. It's her birthday. And her dad is here to help celebrate that. So, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear April. Happy birthday to you. Hey, hey, hey. And April arranged for our speaker today, and we appreciate that very much. I didn't know it was your birthday. Good. Great. I'll get her first legal drink. Oh, Lord, okay, fantastic. Our invocation today is going to be given by Bob Sutherland, who's one of our members.
You baseball aficionados probably know that Major League season kicked off this week. And of all places, they had to fly to South Korea and played in Seoul, the Dodgers and the Padres. And my interest in seeing it, I got up early enough to see it, I think it was Wednesday morning. I wanted to see what this $700 million baseball player looked like at the plate. He did wind up going 2 for 5, so I guess the Dodgers will get their money. But anyway, a few years ago, I attended a dinner down in Wilson. There was something called the Hot Stove League. Anybody familiar, ever heard of that? I used to attend those meetings every year, had them in Raleigh, Wilson, Durham. And the invocation, one in Wilson, I was just really impressed with, and I thought I'd read that to you today if it's okay. So if you bow your heads. Almighty God, you're called the great umpire in the game of life. We are unsure as to what uniform we should wear. While we may be angels in spirit, in reality, we are giants in pride, dodgers of responsibility, and tigers in ambition. Now, when it comes to faith, we find ourselves in the minor leagues. When it comes to good works, we strike out. When it comes to knowledge of your word, we're not even sure of the ground rules. Therefore, we are thankful for your mercy when we are in foul territory, for your forgiveness when we commit one error after another, for your uplifting spirit when we are in the pitfalls of a slump. No, God, let our game plan be your will, and our response a sellout crowd with standing room only. And when our number is retired here on earth, may we head for home plate and rejoice to hear you call safe. In the name of him who gives the final victory to all who believe, Christ our Lord. Father, we ask that you bless this food to the nourishment of our bodies and us to thy service. In Christ's name, amen.
Thank you, Bob. That was appropriate with baseball season with us. Have a seat, please. Thank you so much. You'll find on your table a 3x5 card. Please fill it out and give us your sincere comments, realistic comments on what you thought of the meal today. We have now had a number of people. We had Catering Works, Joni Collier, personal chef, 2 weeks with Chelsea Cafe, 2 weeks with Rocky Top, and today is Empire Eats. So they're going to be here one more week with us, and then we also have another individual coming in, and we're going to take, we're probably going to call some people back and have some of our finalists in. But we've got good comments so far. We read every comment you write. Please write comments. It's going to make a difference in what we do. Thank you so much. Got a number of guests today. Randy Hartley, you have a guest?
Fellow Kiwanians, I'm very pleased to have with me today my brother, Reed. Like me, he's a graduate of the University of Virginia. My last year of grad school was his last year of undergrad, and we actually roomed together for a year. He's down here from Purcellville, Virginia, the booming metropolis about an hour west of Washington, D.C. Reed is the Vice President of Fundraising for Communities in Schools, a not-for-profit that works with at-risk youth to help ensure that they graduate from high school.
Thank you, Randy, and welcome. We appreciate it very much, Reed. Thank you for being with us. April Blackwell has a number of guests today. And as I said, she helped us get the program.
Thank you. Will my guests please stand? I have the honor of hosting my father, Ken Young. He's here to celebrate my birthday this weekend. Leah Sabin is with First Citizens, Daniel Waneman, Curated Events, and Casey Kabbalah with Kilpatrick, Townsend, and Stockton. These three are on the Purpose Platoon, which is a team project as part of Leadership Raleigh through the Raleigh Chamber of Commerce. And through the project that we've been working on, we have adopted military missions in action. And that is why we have Greg Gebhardt as our guest speaker today.
Right. Thank you so much for what you're doing. We appreciate it, and happy birthday. And we will hear from our speaker in just a moment. A couple of announcements to start with. First of all, let me hit a membership welfare. Jim Walbrink had a pacemaker installed the first of this past week. He's doing good. He just didn't think he could be here with us today, but do keep him in your thoughts. Is there anybody else that we need to remember? Okay. If not, let me call on Andy Wood. You've got an announcement concerning our golf tournament, which is coming up on May 2nd at Noose Golf Club.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So just real quick, we're getting to that point in the year where I'm looking for some volunteers. There's been a regular crowd that has very graciously volunteered the last few years. So if those of you that have done that want to do it again, please reach out to me. If there's anybody that has not volunteered and is interested in volunteering, these are easy things that can be done, and you get to spend a day outside on the golf course. So if that interests you, just reach out to me. My contact information is on the sheet that's over there on the table. But I'm looking for, it's usually between like 4 and 5 people. We make it work with whatever we get, but to have 5 or 6 or so, something like that will be fantastic. So thank you for those that have done it in the past. We could not do it without you. But to those that are interested, just reach out to me. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy, for what you do, and we look forward to the golf tournament. Be thinking about it. Be thinking about the team you want to have, and we want to have a very successful golf tournament this year. Change the Future campaign is coming along well. Don't forget to put your loose change in your pocket in the glass jar as you come in. March is Diaper Drive Month, and I want to thank Dr. Andy Perry and Frank Manson and Randy Hartley for heading up that committee. And we don't have a count right now, but we're doing well. There is a basket on that table if you need to make a donation to the diaper drive. And there's also a, what do you call those things?
QR code.
Yep, they're on the table. I don't know how to use that. If somebody would teach me, I'll do it that way. I had to put my check in the basket today. Let me call on John Alexander for John, brief remarks.
Folks, it is upon us. Right now, we've got something going on called March Madness, and I'm up here to talk about it a little bit. I got a buddy of mine who's a Carolina guy, and he wrote me a poem, and I'm going to read it to you folks because I think it makes sense to try to be equal because we certainly believe in equality. And so here it goes from a Carolina. This is true. Oh, the horror of defeat by State College, I repeat. I mentioned to him the State College changed their name in 1965. He said he didn't like change. Yet still we walk away with class to win the NC tourney, alas. So to the heels, good luck we send. I hope this losing ain't a new trend. Now he sent me that. Well, I had to reciprocate. Excuse me a second. I got to get ready. Woo! Hush. Hush. The Tar Heels have encountered bad fate as their rallies off came too late. They got beat by the wolf pack with a whack, whack, whack. Now Armando can commiserate with Drake. How about that? Got to know who that, well, never mind, whatever else. Now, I think that pretty well takes care of everybody in this area right now because we talked about Carolina, we've talked about state, and Wake Forest is in the NIT, and there is another school that's around here that lives somewhere over there, and I think Durham, something, I'm not sure the name of it, but it's been so long since they had a win, as I understand it, they've taken W out of their alphabet. And I heard some sad news not too long ago, is that Buck Lattimore has put himself into the portal for among the various civic clubs, and he's got the people from the Girl Scouts and the Rotary and Lions trying to maybe solicit him to leave this club. But Buck, we hope that you stay with us and go Wolfpack.
Well, he wouldn't tell me what he wanted to speak about. I would have got equal time if I would have known for sure, but thank you. Johnny Mack is something else. Let me call on April Blackwell to introduce our speaker.
It's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Greg Gebhardt. He's a 24-year Army veteran. He originally enlisted in 2000 before commissioning as an officer in 2006. He spent 6 years on active duty at Fort Liberty, culminating as a company commander on a year-long deployment to Iraq. Currently serves as the commander of the 105th Engineer Battalion in the North Carolina National Guard. He professionally spent time working as a legislative staffer in the North Carolina House of Representatives. You might recognize some of these folks here. Also spent a few years doing business development and community affairs for a national solar energy company, as well as performing account management at Duke Energy. And fun fact, he married his high school sweetheart, Carrie. Ooh, gotta love that. They live in Holly Springs with their 3 young daughters. Let's welcome Greg Gebhardt.
Well, thank you so much for having me. As April said, my name is Greg Gebhardt. I thought all the red in the room was because it's a Friday and we remember everyone deployed. That's a military thing, but I'm okay with the pack too. April mentioned, real briefly, April mentioned my time at Fort Bragg. That's what brought my wife and I to North Carolina originally back in 2006. I will say my wife did go to that school he didn't mention down the road in Durham, but we're not from New Jersey, okay? We're not from New Jersey. But I'm here today to speak to you about military missions in action. We've been around 16 years. We're North Carolina founded and focused. Start with our mission statement. I'm not gonna read it to you. You can read it, but I will just highlight the red portion. About 3 years ago, we changed the mission statement to reflect that we also assist the loving and supporting families of service members, veterans. Let's give you a quick anecdote. April mentioned I command the 105th Engineer Battalion in the North Carolina National Guard. I have the headquarters in Rayford, and then I've got armories in Laurinburg, Rockingham, and then up through Lexington, Mocksville, Mount Airy. Butner, just north of here, and then back obviously down to the headquarters in Rayford. But prior to that, I worked in Raleigh at the headquarters, and when Hurricane Florence hit back in 2018, I got sent, at the time I was a major, now I'm a lieutenant colonel, but I got sent to Columbia, South Carolina to be the liaison officer between the North Carolina National Guard and the South Carolina National Guard. And so I'll never forget the phone call. I called my wife and said, hey, honey, I've been activated for the hurricane. She said, okay, are you going to Rayford or are you going to Raleigh? No, actually, I'm going to Columbia, South Carolina. She said, are you kidding me? And so I handed her the keys to the generator and told her and my girls, hey, I'll see you when I see you. I don't know when that will be, but if you need anything, the neighbor knows that I'm leaving. Essentially, best of luck. But I just use that as a quick anecdote to show that we at Military Missions in Action recognize that the families serve just as much, if not more, than the service member, right? I'm given the uniform and I'm told where to be and when to be there, and I know what to do, but the families that we leave home oftentimes don't know when we'll be back. And I didn't come back until 17 days later. Here's the who. This is a very busy slide for those that like organizational charts. This is right up your bailiwick. Most of you probably don't, and that's okay. The so what of this slide is the full-time employees are highlighted in red. It's myself and our Director of Operations, Zach Kiesler. That's it. So stated differently, we're run almost entirely on the backs of volunteers. All of our program managers, of which we have 3 currently officially. The transportation program is something I'll get into near the end, but the 3 programs that we have are all run by volunteers, and we couldn't do it without them. The why, again, I won't read you the slide, but I'll just highlight the why, the statement there in red. Mike Dorman founded this organization in the fall of 2007. Mike was, tragically, he passed away in 2021 as a result of COVID. But Mike was a career Coast Guardsman. Mike spent about 25 years in the Coast Guard, retired as a CW3 or 4, I can't recall. But Mike saw the wave of injured soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines coming back from the surge in Iraq in 07, 08, and he just saw that the system was overwhelmed. The VA was not set up to handle the amount of requests that they were getting for service, and so Mike took action. In fact, the first project Mike did was he went down to Oriental. He sold his Harley-Davidson motorcycle, loaded up his trailer full of roofing shingles, and put a roof on a house for a veteran in Oriental. And that was the first project at Military Missions in Action. That was the fall of 07. The spring of 08, he got the IRS certification, officially recognizing us as a 501c3 nonprofit. But all that to say, the assistance that a lot of veterans were seeking in 2007, 2008 was just delayed in red tape. If a veteran or a family member of a veteran comes to us and asks for assistance, we can usually turn it around in less than 24 hours. In fact, Zach, our Director of Operations, he went down and visited a veteran's home in Fayetteville yesterday morning. Yesterday morning. And he already has the paperwork back today, and we already have a contractor lined up to put that ramp on that veteran's home. So it's a very quick turnaround. The where, so we've got a physical location in Fuquay Arena in West End, and then we only serve the state of North Carolina. But for sending care packages to troops deployed overseas, all of the services that we render are within the 100 counties of the state of North Carolina. We have no intent to franchise. We will not become a national organization. Some folks ask why. The matter of fact is we can't meet the demand for our services in North Carolina today. So for us to be naive enough to think that we could meet the demand of veterans all across the country, it's just not fathomable. So we have no intent to franchise. We only serve all 100 counties in North Carolina. You see Mike got the Presidential Citizen Award from President Obama back in 2012. And then I have Statesville up there. I'll talk about our furniture program here in a little bit, but 40% of our furniture deliveries last year went west of Greensboro. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, or it's not really efficient for us to load up our truck in Fuquay Arena, put volunteers in it, and drive it to Candor, North Carolina, where we were just 2 weeks ago, which is outside of Asheville. So we're looking at expanding west. And I've partnered with another nonprofit out there who has offered some space in their warehouse. And so hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have a flagpole out there, so to speak. Here's our year in review from 2023. A lot of numbers. There's a lot of data on that slide. What I want to point out to you are 2 things. The number at the very top of the slide, the 4639, that's how many veterans and family members we assisted in 2023. Keep in mind, I told you we only have 2 full-time employees. So the ROI you get in terms of the impact that our organization has, vice the amount of people we can impact, when you compare it to the amount of our full-time employees, I believe it's unparalleled. Number one. Number two, the number at the bottom. 90% of all of our donations go directly to support programming. That means 90 cents of every dollar that we're blessed to receive goes directly to support our programming. We're very low overhead and try to run as lean and efficient as we can. So here's our 3 programs. Operation Building Hope. Practically speaking, what this means is ramps. We do about 2 to 3 dozen ramps a year. And we have a ramp crew out of our West End office, and we have a ramp crew out of the Fuquay Arena office. Any other home modifications that are needed above and beyond that, we hire local contractors. And we're fortunate more often than not to get contractors who are veterans or have a connection to the veteran community. And they either do it at cost or they just in-kind it to us and said, hey, we'll do this one on behalf of this veteran. So you can see there, on average, it costs us about $1,000 to put in a permanent wooden ramp. We also do temporary metal ramps. If it's a temporary situation, we'll go set it up and then take it down when the need is no longer there. Fill the Footlocker. Within Fill the Footlocker, we have 3 initiatives. One is the care packages I spoke of earlier. We send 2 types of care packages. We send a food and a toiletries. Well, the toiletries also double as our unhoused veteran stand-down kits. So think of deodorant, shampoo, razors, socks, nail clippers, body lotion, bug repellent, sunscreen, that type of stuff, hand sanitizer. A lot of the same stuff we put in packages to send overseas, we then bag up in 2-gallon Ziploc bags to give it some level of waterproofing, put it in a brand new backpack, and we hand it out to unhoused veterans all across the state of North Carolina. Last year, we did 13 events and handed out 1,529 of those bags. The good news is we were able to hand out 1,529 of those. The bad news is there's that many unhoused veterans in our state that need our assistance. And then finally, Operation Rescue Christmas, just like Toys for Tots, Marine Corps League, you're probably familiar with that program. We do presents and gift cards at Christmas time as well. The third program is Homes for Healing. Homes for Healing is really what distinguishes us from any other veterans nonprofit in the state. We run a furniture bank. We delivered to 115 families last year, which might not seem like a lot of families, but when you consider we're on the road, again, from Asheville to Jacksonville and everywhere in between. I did a delivery myself to Weldon, which is Roanoke Rapids up near the Virginia border last July. We really cover the entire state. We go wherever the need is. And we will provide whatever that veteran or their family needs. From the bed, the mattress is the one thing we will not give used to a veteran. We buy all mattresses brand new from a wholesaler. And other than that, we use gently used home furnishings. Linens on the bed to the bed frame, nightstand, all the way down to the knives, forks, spoons, whatever they need to set up their apartment. And we do that at no charge to them. As I said, we did 115 families last year. 40% of those were west of Greensboro. We traveled nearly 15,000 miles across the state, picking up and delivering furniture. And again, that number there, the 1714, that's a very conservative number on what it costs us to furnish these veterans' homes. But we do it at no cost. 4 out of every 10 veterans that come to us for assistance through our Homes for Healing program come from the VA. The VA gives them a housing voucher, gets them off the streets, and then their case manager calls us and says, hey, we just placed this veteran, this is where they're at, this is what they need, and we're able to meet that need. This is just some of the corporates and nonprofits that we work with in the community. You recognize a lot of big names there on the far left. I told you earlier, I mentioned working with a nonprofit in Statesville, that's Purple Heart Homes, to get some space from them. And then the engagement there on the far right. These are the events that we do in and around the community across the state. Highlighted a few. I think we're going to talk about one here later. Heroes Rock the Night. That's why April and her folks are here. Vet Jam is a concert, a benefit concert down in Fuquay. And then the DPR Cornhole Tournament. DPR is a construction firm over outside of RTP that does a big cornhole tournament for us every year and raises us about $10,000. Here's the lifetime impact. Again, high level. We've assisted over 131,000 veterans and their families in the last 16 years. Very proud of that. And again, the ROI that you get for your investment in military missions in action is felt far and wide. How am I doing on time, April? Okay. So this is the how you can help slide. I often tell folks, if you can only do one thing, pick one of the top three, and it'll take about 90 seconds of your time, cost you nothing other than those 90 seconds, but it would help us immensely. If you can find us on Facebook, follow our page, maybe share one post a month that speaks to you. Secondly, if you could sign up for our newsletter and forward it to 3 friends. I try to send only one newsletter a month because I know how many newsletters I get. And then finally, refer a veteran in need. I tell folks, if you wait for a veteran to knock on your door and ask for help, you'll wait forever. Veterans don't ask for help. Veterans are trained to go to the sounds of the guns and help other people. And I can tell you myself as an Iraq War veteran, it's not who we are to ask for help, right? It's just ingrained in us to go provide help to others. And I'd like, if I have, do I have 2 or 3 more minutes? Okay. I'd like to share a story with you about a veteran who, finally overcame, I think, what was a lot of shame and swallowed his pride to ask for help. So we have 3 vehicles. We have our furniture truck, we have our pickup truck, and we have a 2000 Ford Econoline van with 267,000 miles on it. I drive that thing quite often. No heat, no AC, and no radio, but it gets the job done. But so he happened to pull up next to Sheetz gas station in Fuquay there, if you're familiar with the interchange of 42, 55, and 401 there. And he pulled up next to our truck, and he saw the number, and he called, and he said, hey, I really need some help. I haven't had heat or air conditioning in my home in Coates. Coates is in Harnett County, just south of us here. So haven't had heat or air in my home in 18 months. And so that was the initial request that came in. Well, if you were listening, we don't do heat and air, right? We do slight home modifications, but we really don't do heat and air. And so, we took his name and number, wrote it down, and wouldn't you know it, about 2 weeks later, if you're a believer, this is the Lord, right? If you're not, that's okay. It was just divine intervention. About 2 weeks later, Element Heating and Air out of North Raleigh called us and said, hey, we'd like to donate an HVAC system to a veteran in need. And we said, we got just the guy you need. And so we lined that up, got that all set up, and that was working in the background. Well, I went to speak at a group in Western Wake County in Cary. While this was all going on, I went and spoke at a group. It was a Monday evening, and they had collected items for our Fill the Foot Locker program. So that Foot Locker there in the center, we hand those out to businesses and organizations across the triangle, and we ask them to put those in their business or their organization and collect items for to be either shipped overseas or given to unhoused veterans. And so they had given me 2 garbage bags full of food. Well, we don't do food in the sense of canned goods, dry goods. That's not what we do at Military Missions in Action. We do the snacks that we ship overseas. So, I was like, oh, thank you so much, right? And I was kind of annoyed that I had to carry 2 grocery bags to my pickup truck that night, put them in the pickup truck, go home. Next morning I wake up and I take everything over to the warehouse because there was a lot of stuff that needed to go into care packages. But Sue is our volunteer that runs our Adopt the Foot Locker program. And Sue happened to be in the warehouse that morning. And I said, hey, Sue, any idea what I'm going to do with these 2 grocery bags full of canned goods and food? And she said, hey, do you know Ruben? I said, Ruben, is that the gentleman that we're helping with the HVAC system? She said, yeah, Ruben. I said, yeah, I know Ruben. She said, Ruben called me this morning and said his bank account is $400 in the red, and he doesn't know how he's going to feed his family this month. I said, well, I didn't know what I was going to do with that food last night, but the Lord knew what we were going to do with that food this morning, right? So I didn't even get it out of my pickup truck. I drove straight down to Coates, showed up on his porch, knocked on the door. Ruben came out. I told him who I was, said I'm with Military Missions in Action. We're here to help you. Ruben and I talked for about 15 to 20 minutes. For the first 7 to 9 minutes, he never looked up and didn't make eye contact with me. And I can only suspect that's because he had a lot of shame. He was a very prideful man. Ruben spent 20 years as a Special Forces soldier doing unspeakable things to bad people all around the globe on behalf of all of us, right? And And for him to be in a point in his life where he needed someone to come alongside him and walk with him and his family, he probably never envisioned he would be there. And I just told him, I said, hey, Ruben, it's okay. God bless you. I said, Ruben, it's okay. We're here to help. We come alongside of veterans in their time of need. And, you know, I tried to build some rapport with him. I told him, I said, Ruben, there's no shame. There's no shame in asking for help when you need it. I grew up in a very food insecure home. There were times when I didn't eat as a kid until a brown paper bag showed up on the doorstep at my house. I said, Ruben, I know what it's like to be in your shoes. And that's why we're here, man. We're just here to help. We want to be here. We want to walk alongside you, and we want to help you and your family. And he just said, I can't tell you how much this means to me. And, you know, we bonded over jumping out of airplanes together at Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty. And, you know, we left in a good place. And Ruben, at the end of that conversation, said, hey, I really appreciate this. I never thought I'd be in this situation, but I'm thankful that there are organizations like yours out there that see veterans in their time of need. And he said, hey, when I get back on my feet, I would love to come back and volunteer at MMIA. Those are the type of people that we help at MMIA. If you remember the first slide, I said we're a grassroots organization. We are very much on the ground every day across this state, helping veterans where they are, free of judgment, free of any of that. We don't judge them. We don't ask how they ended up in the situation that they're in. We're just there to come alongside them and help them. Leah asked me earlier, she said, Greg, what do you do on any given day? On Monday, I was at a clean energy event, trying to figure out how we could maybe upfit our fleet to run more efficient since we drive so many miles. I've been on furniture deliveries. I move furniture in the warehouse. I pack boxes because it's what our veterans need us to be doing. And I'm honored to do it. I'm proud to do it. And quite frankly, I'm blessed to do it. And I thank you all for your time today. Happy to take any questions.
Tell us about your funding.
So thank you very much, sir. How are we funded? Prior to my arrival, we were actually the local Jersey Mike's Day of Giving. Military Missions in Action, if you ever paid attention to that, was the local benefactor. That brought us to the tune of nearly $400,000 a year. That went away in 2021 because of big Jersey Mike's decided we're going to give to, I believe it was the Special Olympics across the country. So all that to say, we lost a huge funding gap. So when I came on board, we only do one active fundraiser a year, and that is our golf tournament every Veterans Day at Bentwins in Fuquay Arena, the country club down there. That brings in about $150,000 a year for us. We need about $650,000 to $700,000. That's our operating budget. So that delta comes largely from individual donors, believe it or not. So I would say 25% from the golf tournament, another 40% from individual donors, and the remaining 35% is probably 5% grants and 20%, if I did the math correctly, I wasn't a math major, the other 20% is from corporates. I just started, we will do our first ever formal black tie gala at the Fair Barn in Pinehurst on Saturday, April 13th. For those that have any affiliation to the military, there's a saying 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Because if you only have one of something, eventually it's going to crap out on you, and then you got none, right? So we will do a second fundraiser starting this April down in Pinehurst. But short of that, sir, we largely rely on individual donors.
Nothing from the VA?
We don't get any funding from the VA, no, sir. And look, that's probably, I'll own that. Mike, our founder, Mike was very much a doer. I told you the first project, he put a roof on a veteran's house. Mike didn't maybe fully, and I'm not speaking ill of Mike, the board would tell you this, Mike didn't do a great job selling the organization and beating the streets for the funding that we need, but what Mike did do is built a great brand across the state, so the demand signal is up here for our services, but our funding is not quite there yet. But yeah, April can, or someone can talk about the Purpose Platoon. Groups, organizations like Leadership Raleigh, we're blessed when they reach out to us and say, hey, we'd like to help. So do you want to speak about?
The Purpose Platoon adopted Military Missions in Action. A couple of our members have worked with them before. They were on that corporate list. We have an amazing visionary on our team, Liz McLean, who isn't here today, who had this great vision of having a rock benefit concert. And I'll let Daniel add on to that.
Yeah, I'm Daniel Wanamaker. Thanks for having us out here. And we are having a benefit concert with most of the money going to help with the healing for homes. Their mission to help provide, the items that the newly housed veterans need within their homes. So we are getting donations for sponsors of the concert, as well as getting the Rialto in Raleigh, where the concert's being held, are going to donate back some of the funds from the concert that we can help to give to military missions in action.
And any of y'all would like to donate to that cause, Leah's passing out pamphlets that have information on sponsorship opportunities if you wanted to purchase a sponsorship package. We're also just accepting general donations and selling tickets to that event, which is on April 21st.
Awesome. And just to add on specifically, the money that we're raising are going to purchase microwaves, washer and dryer units for the houses for veterans in the program. There's a QR code. I know, Buck, that's not something that you're into, but for others, you can open up your phone, scan the QR code. It'll take you to the link. If you don't do that, the link is right below. You may need a magnifying glass, but it is there. It is givebutter.com/Heroes Rock the House. The concert's on April 21st, and we have 2 military bands that are performing that night. One's Drum for Change, and the other one is Silence and Light.
Thank you so much.
Could I? I'm happy to stick around and take questions. I'm not going anywhere. I have nothing but time. So, sir, if you want to catch me afterwards. I know Buck said he's got to adjourn the meeting.
Or these people kill me if I don't, okay? About 1:30. Okay, let me give you a copy of a book. We give a book to the library each week. If you'll sign it on the inside, we give it in memory, in thanks to our speaker. We appreciate it very much. If you come to the meeting next week, you'll be by yourself. There's no meeting next week because of Easter, and we'll be back on April the 5th. Thank you all for being with us. Have a great Easter. Adjourned.